What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Jonathan Wiseman here with another episode of The Grit. Today I got Helix Sun in the building, got Jonathan Chandler and Ryan Flynn. Today we're going to be diving into some solar questions to get all of your questions answered. But first, before we start diving into all the questions that I have, I want to hear y'all's story. I want to know about y'all individually, how y'all came together, and how Helix Sun got launched.
Before I got into solar, I was in industrial development in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And seeing the way that everything is, the landscape in Louisiana, you wanted to find what's that next opportunity that gives you longevity, but at the same time, how do you make an impact? And that's the real driving force, I guess, behind myself wanting to get into solar. It was an up and coming industry, but it gave me the ability to meet new people every single day and truly make an impact on not just homeowners, businesses, but at the end of the day, my own personal life. You know, going in, you get to see some amazing homes, but you also get to see the tough stuff that people have to go through. And knowing that one meeting with that one person, even though it's a small transition of a conversation, what it gives these people moving forward, you know, you're talking about their livelihood. And so going from Baton Rouge to Austin, that's where I first started in solar. I would say about 2 years in was when I got to call him. Believe it or not, he was still in Wisconsin. I had to not only sell him on the idea and the vision of what solar can be, but put enough faith into me that I promise you, if you follow with me, we're going to go through some bumps and bruises.
Sure.
But let's have some fun doing it. You know, he made the trip from Wisconsin to come down to Houston, and then we kind of just took off from there. And so
how'd y'all originally meet?
We had our recruiter said, hey, you know, there's this one guy that's in Wisconsin looking to come down. And I think he's someone that you really need to get on the phone with. And I still to this day remember pacing in my backyard in Austin for an hour, just trying to paint the picture of what this is. But you could also kind of pick up when you talk to those people on the phone that have that secret sauce. And you go, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw the whole kitchen sink at this guy just because I believe in what he's talking about. And I believe if you get what we kind of call ourselves now, a little shake and bake together, there's great things that can happen, you know, let alone now I'm going on 6 years. He's 4.5, 5, and we're still doing this thing. Yeah. And so it's given us a lot of opportunities to grow, some other opportunities for our family. But really at the end of the day, we get to make an impact every single day with homeowners. And that allows us to come home and really enjoy waking up every day and making a difference.
So you say impact, and that's actually a big word we're doing with one of our businesses this year in 2022. When you say impact, give me a little bit more details. Dial into that, get a little more granular of what you mean by impact.
Impact to us is more on the lines of, with what you're doing, how do you make a very small change to still be able to get the benefits of what you're doing, but knowing that it frees up X, Y, and Z in the back end. And so on the impact for us, it's the simple thing as utility usage. You know, as a homeowner, your mortgage is the highest operating cost that you have or that you will incur. Your number 2 is your utilities. And to go solar, you have to own your home. And so if you have your home and your utilities already offset, we're locking in 75% of your operating budget monthly. Now, if you can take all of that extra cost that you aren't really paying attention to and realize I can invest $5, $6, $7, maybe $1,000 a year back into my family's budget, what that means for food on the table, education, future investments, or just saying, hey, I have some more flexibility in my budget, I can breathe.
Sure.
And so that's one side of it. But knowing that for us at Helix, the impact word is also for us in the essence of, with us doing our job and expecting excellence every day, when we do our job, we are actually impacting families and communities in third world countries, because every project we install, we're donating solar to another country, to another family, to another village that doesn't have clean water, you know, that doesn't have the lights on like we have now that we take for granted every single day. You know, right here, it's freezing outside right now. Luckily, we're warm. They don't have that luxury. And so knowing that with us going out and making an impact on said family, we're also making an impact on a family that may never meet us, but because we truly believe in giving back and making that impact, we're working for them as well.
Yeah. No, and we talked about that a couple weeks ago, quite in detail.
Yeah, and the
I love
give power.
I love the passion project, and that's actually one of the questions I've got towards the end of this. So we will dive into that. But before we do, I want to hear a little bit about your history. 4.5 years ago, or when y'all two met, we got his version pacing in the backyard.
Sure.
Give me your history, background, how y'all two came together.
I was a business owner at a very young age, at 20 years old, and did that for 6 or 7 years actually, and it was really taking a toll on family life. I was spending a lot of time working nights and weekends. I had 2 young kids at home and a wife and stuff like that, and so I was just looking for something that was a little more fulfilling, that would give me a little better balance. And that's whenever I, ran into Ryan. And like he said, we were on the phone, and literally the next week, I was in my car driving, right?
Wow.
Like that's all it was. And, I left my wife and family up there to come down here and build a dream, build a business. And 4.5 years later, my life has changed complete 180. And I owe a lot of that to this guy here, and a lot of my own hard work as well. So, I was really super passionate about solar from the get-go, right? I my parents and grandparents, everybody had been in the oil industry, and the more I looked at that, and the more I saw kind of where things were going with that lifestyle, that the way those people lived, and the way that they thought, and the way that they acted, I realized that the impact that they were making on the world was probably not the right impact, and it certainly didn't match up with my vision of where I saw myself down the road, right?
Sure.
And so I kind of broke off, became the black sheep a little bit, if you will.
I can imagine coming from the oil industry.
That's right. Yeah. But you know what? I respect the hell out of them, and they respect the hell out of me, right?
Sure.
And over the time, I've been able to explain to them and educate them on what I do, why I do it, and the amount of people that I've been able to help, versus drilling holes in the earth, right? So I think that we are making that impact day in and day out, which is the big reason why I came down here. Was I believed in the vision of where solar was at the time and where it was headed, and we've been able to fulfill that vision little by little by little, year over year, and see the growth that's happened in this industry, and see the changes that we've been able to make here in Texas and abroad. And so I'm super grateful and very excited for the continuing opportunities that are put in front of us all the time.
Absolutely.
Cool. Tell me how y'all came up with the name. Me being in marketing,
Yeah.
branding.
Yeah, so-
tell me how Helix Sun came
So
together.
Helix Sun came about, and so again, the things that we have been, I would say, fortunate enough to have seen in this industry, there's a lot of really good business that's out there, but there is probably 5 times as much bad business.
Sure.
And so the word helix, if you were to go look that up, helix is a symbol that it basically explains resiliency. And so with the things that we have come to learn through our solar career is knowing there's a lot of, again, that bad information part, and we want to go out and we want to make the best, not just impact like we were talking about, but knowing that we're really giving people the transparent, off the cuff, real life pros and cons. And so taking the opportunities that we've been given before, knowing that when we can do it our own and we can do it ourselves, we want to have that resiliency type of what you see in solar is what you have, Bob, Tim, and Harry posting on Facebook. And we want to go against that and go, again, guys, we can be resilient knowing that we're using this giant ball of heat that's over our roof 300 days out of the year. We're able to put a financial release back into the family budget. And so the whole essence of Helix is just true resiliency. You're going to go through, having that grit period of, hey, we got to buckle down. We got to put nose to the grindstone. We just got to get to work. There's going to be those other moments to where you see all the grit and all the hard work that you've put in. You can kind of take a step back and go, look what we've done, but now it's time to roll our sleeves back up and get back into it. And so Helix alone is just built on resiliency. Obviously, our business model is revolving around the sun. So at the end of the day, if we can have resilience through the sun, we can make an impact on a great amount of people. Impact people will never have the ability to meet, unfortunately, but knowing that every day when we wake up, we're truly giving back to the environment, the community, and really fulfilling the cup within ourselves. And so that's really where the whole Helix Sun entity, our logo, is built in the same. And so resiliency is really what we're founded on.
Yeah. It sounds like it's more of a lifestyle with you guys than it is a brand.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's kind of one of the best parts about solar is that you don't have the typical 9 to 5 working hours. We work 7 days a week because we love it. But, you have those moments of a lifestyle to where, again, if you don't truly live and breathe what you're doing, you or anyone that we're talking to can't feel or hear the passion that we have when we're talking about this stuff. I mean, everybody that knows me knows that I could sit in a room and talk to a mirror about solar probably until I'm blue in the face. I love what it does. It's really, really cool technology. But with us, that's also what's given us the ability to I guess, kind of pick and choose who we want to bring into our band of brothers. Because again, if you don't live that lifestyle of truly wanting to make an impact and you just see this as a paycheck,
Yeah.
there's 100 other solar companies out there that would probably love to have you. We want people that truly believe in the vision and the mission of everybody deserves clean energy. You know, if we can continue to push that mindset of it's not dependent on a credit score or that it's, you have all this cash on hand to do it. If you can afford your utility bill, you can go solar. So that's where we want to come into play in the essence of this is a lifestyle. This is something that can change your lifestyle. Where I've seen people, once they've gone solar, they've been able to say, hey, you know what? I've actually been able to take the funds that I was using before. I now have a rental property. That's now giving me more income, which again, I'm now paying for my daughter's college. That all stemmed from the one conversation that we had sitting at their kitchen table, and they had no idea what we were going to talk about. And by the time we were done, we showed them that, guys, this is why we do what we do. And it's all based on the educational side. That's what Helix is. We're not a sales company. We are built on the educational aspect of there's a lot of great information out there. There's also a lot of really poor information. And so for us, we want to come in and we want to provide that education, because once you are equipped with the knowledge, you'll know whether or not solar is a great financial decision for you and your family. And if that be the case, let's take it from there. But if not, it's great information to have either way, because with the ever-changing world that we're in right now, where here in Texas, is it going to be hot or cold? Texas, yes. We have no idea right now. That's where solar, backup power, generators, all of this amazing stuff, that's where that comes into play. And so we figure out that lifestyle check from our vetting conversations with the people that we talk with the partners that we align ourselves with. If you don't see your business the same way that we see ours, this isn't going to be a thriving partnership. This is going to be a transaction and we're done. But for those that truly believe in the vision of, again, making the impact, that one word, which is one of our buzzwords, if you believe in making an impact, we want to ride with you.
Tell me a little bit about one thing you said earlier, Jonathan, was, the difference 4 or 5 years ago with solar, where it's at today, the technology. Mm-hmm. Just kind of from a higher level or a bird's eye view, what is the real technological differences that we were seeing 4 years ago, 5 years ago, when we were hearing it's cool? If you were a green person, it was something you did, but it wasn't really cost effective. It wasn't going to save you money. Most people are still very skeptical of what's going on in this industry as far as, is it really going to save money? Is it really going to lower your bill? Are you really going to get returns? And we'll dive into some of the questions and the specifics of incentive programs and loans and government rebates and all that. I do want to dive into that, those money questions. And I think that's part of probably a majority of what the rest of this podcast is going to be, is the financial side. First half, I wanted to get to know you guys and hear your why, see the passion behind it, and then we'll dive into the financial side for the homeowners that are watching to answer those questions. But for those people that are watching, what are you seeing as the real differences 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago when people were doing it for different purposes, as to where now they still might be doing it for those purposes, but now it's coupled with truly saving money? What has changed in your industry?
So, you mentioned at the beginning of that question, talking about the technology, right? And so taking that from kind of a bird's eye view, what has changed, right, is that we're able to get so much more production out of a solar panel today than we were 5 or 6 years ago. So a lot of people that, maybe at the time the roofs might have disqualified, right? Or we just simply couldn't produce enough electricity to make it make sense, right? Those people are now being able to take advantage of it, right? So there's a lot of people that, may have met with us or met with somebody 5 years ago where it just didn't make sense, right? Or they were, struggling to understand the concept, or like you said, they couldn't afford it, whatever might have been the case. And today I'm here to tell you that that's not the truth anymore, right? So those people that have looked at it a long time ago, take a second look, because the technology has come along so much further. Panels 5, 6 years ago were producing half the electricity with the same square footage that they are today.
That's crazy.
So that's crazy, right? And then the other piece of that is the battery technology. The batteries are a huge thing for people that are interested in, being completely self-sufficient or have issues with electricity going out fairly often. And you talk about 5, 6, maybe even 10 years ago or so, you had to have a cabinet of lead acid batteries, right? And today we're using basically lithium ion batteries that they're putting in the Tesla cars now, right? And I mount that in your garage, right? It's super cool. And it can take somebody from being concerned about the electricity going out, right? Or maybe they have breathing apparatus or some kind of medical device that needs to be up and running, and the grid goes down, you're out of luck, right? Whereas today, now we have that technology available that is affordable, right, and can still save people money, and just makes financial sense to them.
So technology obviously has come a long way. I mean, that's the big thing in it. Is there anything different in politics and government going on, you know, on a statewide level that are making it more sought after, feasible, cost effective? You know, take the technology. Obviously, Technology leaps and bounds every single year. What's going on behind closed doors that people aren't seeing that are making a big difference now that it wasn't before?
You know, Texas, we're on an independent electricity grid, right? So you have other areas of the country that, you know, many states are intertwined with their electricity grids, and we're independent. We have over 1,000 people moving to Texas every single day, right? We know about all the people from California, everywhere else, right? And so one of the things that we're seeing a big strain on our grid, right? We saw that last year when we had the cold snap, right? And a bunch of electricity producing plants went down, and people were having rolling blackouts and spending weeks, you know, without electricity, or pipes were freezing, all that kind of stuff. And so situations like that, number one, are causing disruptions to people's daily lives. But then on top of that, couple a grid, right, that really can't keep up. We're having to invest so much money into that grid to keep things going, right, to be able to service the 1,000 people that are moving in every single day to our state. And while that's a great thing, it costs a lot of money, right? And so when we see those costs coming in, those big companies like ERCOT or Encore, whoever's in your area that takes care of that grid, they're passing those charges along to us, right? And so where 4, 5, 6 years ago, people's rates were 8, 9, 10 cents a kilowatt. Now they've gone up 20, 30, 40% just in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's gotten more expensive.
You know, and I sat with people in 2016, 2017, telling them this stuff was going to happen, right? I'm like, guys, you got to understand. I've been telling y'all, people are moving to Texas. We're going to have grid issues. And guess what? It happened last year, right?
Yeah, it did. So everybody saw that.
It was one of those situations where you just throw your hands up, right? And you're like, let's just get in front of as many people as we can.
Sure. Well, let's dive into the nuts and bolts of this. Cost pricing is always the first question I get from everybody. I'm sure it's y'all the first question you get as well. Before jumping on that, I'd like to know, what are the difference? Because I want to get solar. I want to get backup generators. I want solars. I want batteries. I want all that shit. I want everything to know that my house is protected. I'm good. And then I've got backup and redundancy when I need it. And I'm just, you know, being techie, if you will. Being a tech guy, like, I want to know about all the cool shit that's on there. You know, what am I going to have in my garage? You're talking about the lithium ion batteries, and what are the different components that make up solar? Most people see the screens up on the roofs, but what else are we going to be purchasing or buying, or what are my options with all of the components that make up solar? What all makes up solar that you have to have versus what are luxury or cool add-ons that we can add?
We get to pick and choose at that point.
Yeah.
So basically from the start, so again, you are going to have your panels on the roof. Your panels are installed 2 to 3 inches above the roof. That way you're still in restriction to fire code. So those panels are going to be attached to racking. So for everybody out there that always asks, what's the panel, what's the weight? Is it going to compromise the structure? Panels and racking are 42 pounds per panel, all separated over 4 pressure points. So again, structural stamps go into play. Nothing's going to mess with the roof. With your panels, you're also going to have what's on the back of the panel that I love to call the brain of the panel, other known as the microinverter. That's what we use. There's multiple different ways of having the inverter, whether that be string inverters, microinverters, DC optimizers, again, all the cool tech stuff. We specifically like to use end-phase microinverters, again, giving you the ability to have the brain, because what that does, it now gives us a true check and balance system, or my favorite word, true transparency. You know, right now when you get your utility bill, you look at it and go, I guess I owe this much money. I didn't do anything different in my house, but here's what I owe. Now with the microinverters and the monitoring system that you're going to have, you can see individually how each panel is producing hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and now have a check and balance system on the utility company. you're basically looking at your stocks, how they're trending. And if you see that it's trending down, fortunately with solar, we can go in and do some diagnostics or replace it. So coupling that with your panels and your microinverters, then you're going to flow down into your inverter, or again, with us using Enphase, your Envoy box. That's basically what fires off with the Wi-Fi so you can monitor your system. With that, you're also going to have an AC disconnect. That is what I like to call your kind of your safe switch. So in the event, worst case scenario, you have a fire, all you're doing is walking out and you're cranking that power line down. Your whole system is safe. But the reason a disconnect is there is, again, for a safety feature. When the grid goes down, your system is still self-sufficient because, again, you're producing your own power. If that system is not turned off, you're still going to be sending a live feed to that transformer, and you're essentially going to hurt the journeymen that are working on getting that grid back up and running. So if you're to look at the bare bones of a system, you're going to have your panels, your inverters, and then your inverter box or microinverter or Envoy box. So that's essentially what the main row will be. Now, if you have homeowners that live out on land or you have a giant backyard, you have standalone or ground mount structures. Those are completely different from your normal roof mount. But now if you want to get into the cool techie stuff, which is, again, being in this industry, you get to see the leaps and bounds as the technology has changed. I mean, he was talking about how the technology from 4 or 5 years ago, the panel I started with to the panel we're using now, I'm getting 200 extra watts per panel. And the efficiency has gone up 4 to 5%. So again, all that means is extra money back to the homeowner or the business. So getting into the really cool technical part is you have, like you're talking about, hey, when the grid goes down, what do I do? How do I ensure I'm still operating as if nothing happened? Well, that's where you have the battery technology. Again, battery technology has gone leaps and bounds from where it was. And solar, for everyone out there, solar does not require batteries. Luckily,
that's an add-on feature.
Yes, exactly. Luckily, these systems are considered grid tied. You're still attached to the meter. And so again, if you're using more power than your panels are producing, you're still going to be able to pull from the grid. So you're still safe in that aspect. I always call the grid our safety net once you go solar. But once you're looking at those batteries, you can look at, do I just want essential loads? Hey, if power goes out, I want to have my Wi-Fi and a couple box fans working. Or do you want to have it as if nothing else has happened and you want the full system fully operating? Well, then you can do that as well. That's where, again, this new technology has come out where you can look at some homeowners that have battery banks built into their garage where, hey guys, when power's out, my house will be rocking and rolling. Come on over. I'll have
So the battery bank would be considered a generator, a Generac somebody would have out there.
That's one source. But then the next viable option is that backup whole home generator. The reason that we say that is when you have solar coupled with a generator or a battery, you're going to have basically a 10-second runoff or a 5-second runoff for the generator. Once that grid goes down, your ATS switch kicks in. Now your generator's live in 5 seconds. You lost nothing. On the other side, your batteries, you're going to have your panels charging those during the day, filling them back up. And then at nighttime, when you're not producing any power, you're pulling from your battery and you start that cycle all over again. And so now what you're doing with that is you're protecting yourself from wind, rain, bad weather coming in, hurricanes. That's one question everybody asks. What happens if a hurricane rolls through? What's going to happen to my panels? Well, I can promise you, if you have solar and a hurricane comes through, your roof will still be intact.
Yeah.
And that's one of the best parts is, again, you're now putting a shield on your house that is an income producing asset. Those words should not be put together in the same sentence.
Well, owning a roofing company, I can
exactly. So you can see that. And that's, again, where having the conversations with you, we can kind of see how the fabrics can start to expand from there. But getting it down to the simple, just solar 101 is just worth having the conversation. You're protecting and investing back into the most expensive asset you as a homeowner have. That's definitely worth a conversation to see where that can go. If it makes financial sense to you down the line, we'd love to be able to help you, but we want to be the beacon of that information so that you're well equipped when you're ready to make that decision.
All right. So to dial it back a little bit to get a hard answer, when it comes to solar and the different components, you've got your panels, that comes down to
your microinverters.
And then there's another.
You're going to have your meter box, or again, your combiner box or your inverter box.
What are the different components that are related to solar? What goes on my roof? What goes on my garage? What do I need? What can I plug in or add on later? Break down what the first process is or the first components are, and then let's dive into all the fun extra stuff that some of us techie nerds like.
So then there's going to be 3 components to that. Your panels, your inverters, and as long as you have Wi-Fi, a monitoring system. That is your solar system in a high level view.
Say that again slower.
Your panels, your monitoring system, and your microinverters.
Okay. So we got the solar panels. We see those.
Yep.
Tell me about the other two.
So your microinverters is what's going to transfer the energy that the sun gives to the panels into the usable energy in the house.
Okay.
Now, your monitoring system is reading what those microinverters are sending into your house to ensure productivity.
So you can have access to that through an app or computer to see where everything's
as long as you have
from.
Wi-Fi, you're going to be able to see exactly what your system is doing, production-wise, savings-wise. If you have the ability to attach a battery, you're going to be able to see all of that in one interface in the palm of your hands.
I love that.
And so that's something we haven't had before. Unless you're waking up every morning, walking out to your meter, writing down where you started, writing down where you ended. You never had control of that. Now you have all that again with the amazing technology. You have all that power in your hands. And now you can really see, how's my system doing today? It's burning hot out. I wonder how much money we're saving today. That's where kind of the mindset gets to change from, oh my goodness, summer's here, our bills are going to be high, to I wonder how much power we're producing and how much money I'm saving right now.
Yeah, I love that. Well, when I go and do stuff, I like to buy typically the higher end product or brand or things. Or if I'm buying a generator, it's like, give me the higher kilowatt because I might need it. Being a prepper, I want all the extra shit. I want all the bells and whistles. So when I buy a solar system from you guys, what are some of those bells and whistles that I can add on to my package that are really going to help me take it to the next level, or, be, I guess, prepare for future things that might happen, extra battery banks, extra storage? What else can I do? What are some of the extra bells and whistles that I can plug into that?
Well, the first part about solar's scalable. So you can realize down the line, I want more juice. We can always add on from there. But if you're looking for those really, really cool, what can I make this system, how far can we go with it? Generators, batteries. There's a really cool system that you can actually tap into your breaker box that now gives an electrical footprint of everything that's on in your house.
Wow.
You can see how it's working. So like an HVAC, for instance, if that goes out, not many of us have, 12, 15 grand stuffed under a mattress to go, hey, I can take care of this right now. Well, it's called the Sense app. Again, another app that you can download on your phone, but it's going to read the electrical footprint that everything that your home is using. You're going to see how it's producing. Is it using a lot? What's its average? And man, it's not producing very much right now. And you can go in and now you're able to prolong the assets in your house and realize that, hey, my HVAC is starting to, kind of kick the can. I need to have someone service that, because most of the time we'll go through a couple months and realize, hey, a lot of this stuff is changing. My bills are higher and I have no idea why.
So that system
now
will
you
let
have
you
the
know.
ability to go, hey, we're going to be proactive and make sure that we have a tracking system on everything our home is using. A lot of homeowners have no idea that one room you have in your house that you're not allowed to go into ever, that has multiple really pretty lamps plugged in, those are actually using standby power. So you have no idea. But that's where, again, when you get to take the Solar 101 and kind of see how far you can push it, you can really start peeling the layers of the onion back and seeing at the ground level how many different ebbs and flows are a part of this. And now you're in full control. That's the best part of this.
Gotcha. Tell me a little bit more about the battery options. I know that there used to be the big cell batteries that would take up half your garage back in the day. I know there was, the big buzz when Tesla came out with their batteries a couple years ago.
Sure.
Where has technology gone with the batteries, and what are the options as far as different battery packs that I want to add to my system?
Yeah, so Tesla's got a fantastic product. They kind of start with a cookie cutter battery, right? So it's a 10 kilowatt battery pack, right? And that's what its depth of discharge is what they call it. You get techie about that, but anyway, it holds 10 kilowatts of power, is what you're looking at. There's other products out there on the market, such as like Generac, right, where they actually allow you to kind of plug and play within a box, where you can put up to 6 3-kilowatt batteries inside of that, and you can kind of transition through that. So you could say, hey, I only need 3 kilowatts of power for my house, right? But you may need 18 if you've got a big house with a bunch of kids and you want to back up certain things, right? So those are some of the different options and the different ways that you can play with that battery technology, right? So if you say, man, that's what I need, Tesla 10 kW, great. If I need something that can kind of play around, there's lots of different options out there, and Generac's just one of them, but there are all kinds of different battery options out there, and there's lots of different sizes that allow you to kind of take control of whatever it is you're trying to back up.
Do the baseline systems need to have batteries some level?
No.
So if it's solar during the day, is it storing that power somewhere so that it can provide what you need in the evening?
During the day, the power that you're using and that you're producing, it's going to go one of two ways. If you're using that power, it's going to flow right into the house. It's being used live time right then and there. The excess power is going to flow into that grid. Okay. And once you have solar, we're going to have that bi-directional meter installed. So you're going to be able to stand outside your house, and instead of seeing that meter go one way, you owe us money, you're going to see it flowing backwards going, we owe you money now. Gotcha. And so all that excess power you produce during the day, that's going to flow to the grid. And come nighttime, when we're not being able to produce anything, we're going to be pulling that power back. Luckily, here in Texas, we have the deregulated market, which allows for a buyback or a net metering program, which is a buzzword that everyone needs to be looking into right now. What net metering is all that excess power is now going to a bank that when you don't use it, it's like rollover minutes. They're going to credit your bill back. And so now you get to see with all these amazing technologies is, another one he was going to bring up is the Enphase. We talk about our microinverters. Enphase also makes a battery that if you're coupling those with your micros, that's all on that same app we were talking about. So now not only are you knowing, hey, I know my panels are producing because the sun's out. I know how efficient my panels are. I also see how charged my battery is. So when this bad weather's coming through, I know, hey, we're ready to roll. Everything's gassed up, power's stored, panels are ready to roll. Because again, in this bad weather, panels are still going to work. So when you get to that ability of full transparency, there's no better feeling knowing you are in absolute control of the livelihood, the comfortability, and just at the end of the day, it's a much better feeling knowing that what happened last year with what we call snowvid, you're not going to have that scenario where again you're in full control. You're not worrying about a grid or someone taking.
Let's start talking about the financial sense, which is the number one question that we've been getting over the last couple of weeks of putting us out there. How much is solar going to cost? Now, I know the typical answer is, well, it depends on size of your house, depends on this, depends on that. But in a nutshell, let's try to summarize it for our audience. If I'm in a 3,000 square foot house, I got 2 kids, got a spouse, and we live an average life, how much is solar going to cost me?
Solar is going to cost you what you pay per month, you're going to be able to afford solar with. And so everyone, the first thing that we sit down with a lot of homeowners that have that immediate question, I don't want the information, just how much does solar cost? Solar costs essentially what you're using. We want to find a way to make that efficiency backwards and be able to put that money back into your budget. So how much does it cost? I can't just throw hey, it's a Range Rover, or hey, it's a Toyota Yaris. That kind of price equivalently, I can't throw that to you.
Sure.
But we break things down to kind of like when you're looking at a house. When you go buy that $250,000, $300,000 house, you're not going, hey, I can stroke you a check for that right now. It's what fits into my budget and what can I deal with now? And then if I want more, I can upgrade or redo the house. That's where solar comes into play. We're going to show you what the true amount you're financing, which no one knows right now. Everyone's financing something from the utility company. You just see it on the month-to-month basis. You don't see the end number after living in a house 10, 15, 20, 30 years, what you're really going to give to them. We get to come in and kind of give you that pop in the chest of, hey, open your eyes. Here's really what you're signed up for. And that's where the energy assessment comes into play. This money's going out. How do we find a way to do the exact same thing with more of that money coming in, but actually invest it to your home? So as a dollar sign, I can't drop that on it. Your average system, to kind of give everyone out there kind of what's the average solar system looking like, it's about $35,000 here in Texas. Again, chances are we have bigger homes, bigger families. Houston alone has the highest utility bill across the nation, if you didn't know that. So we use power 12 months out of the year. And so for that $35,000 system, now you look into the tax credit side. One of the best parts is that it's not guaranteed. That's a word that a lot of solar companies use. You're guaranteed to get a tax credit. You're eligible now. 26% of your total system is now going to be offset by the taxes that you have paid in as a homeowner. Before we get too down the rabbit hole of that side, take your tax credit out. So on that 35, you're truly financing, 26 now? That's where we can now show you what was your ROI before with CenterPoint. It's rhetorical. There's nothing. You get absolutely nothing about making that monthly payment, having your lights on. But with going through that energy assessment, we can now show you, here's the ROI of your finish line, how you get that money back. That's one of the biggest transitions we have in solar is if you allow us to get to the point of, does solar work? Is my panels going to work in rain and hail? All of that fun stuff. Breaking it down to the bare bones. If you can afford your utility bill, you can afford solar, and now you've protected yourself from all the increasing stuff that's coming down the line, and you've given yourself a finish line. However long you decide to take, you know where it's ending. But you now have, again, the power to choose when, where, and how you take care of that, which we haven't had before. Okay. So that's kind of giving it at a higher level.
Yeah.
There's no way to put it right on that dollar sign.
That's the robust answer for how much does it cost. So for the audience, that is the robust answer. I think the simple question is let these guys get out there and come check out what your usage is, what you got going on, and they'll get you a legit answer and put something on paper. But Jonathan, I'll give you a crack at it.
All right. So
how much does solar? Give me an average. Tell me how much is solar going to cost me if I'm the average person in an average house with the average amount of kids. Give me some type of estimate. Give me something.
Okay. The average electric bill that I see, and been doing this a long time, is about $150 to $200 a month, right? That's what most of us are paying. Some of us in larger houses, maybe a little bit more, right? What I can tell you simply and purely is that if you're spending $150 to $200 a month on your electric bill right now, you can use that money. We can more than likely eliminate that entire expense, and then we can replace it with a lower payment, right? So typically we can save you somewhere between 10 to 25% on your current monthly electric expense.
Okay.
Right? That's the most simplified answer I can give.
No, I love it. That's easy.
And there's a lot of factors, right? But that's the simplified answer.
Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, you're buying a system. As Ryan was saying, you're going to spend 30 to 40 grand, call it an average of 35 grand to get the system, put it in. And then also, I know there's financing options. We know that there's government incentives to where it lowers your tax bills. You get credits. At the end of the day, it's going to end up costing you a couple $100 a month, based off of your usage one way or another. But if you're thinking it's, $150 to $200 a month for average energy bill, then you're going to need an average system, knowing that you're going to save your homeowner 10 to 20% off their bill. If you're in a big ass house and your energy bill is $1,000 a month, you need more of a system, but you're still going to save them that 10 to 20%.
But the fact that you brought that up, the thing is that when you get to these homes and I've sat in plenty of them, I actually have a neighbor right now, their average bill is $1,200 a month. And when you look at stuff like that, there aren't utility plans built for usage of that level.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Which is the most insane thing, because by the time you're done looking through it, the average kilowatt rate here in Texas is about 14 cents. When you get to that kind of usage, you're paying in the 20s. And so there's no good way to go, hey, your system on a lower scale is going to be here. The bigger the system is, realistically, the more money we're going to put back in. So if you're spending about $1,000 a month, all that is that the utility company is charging you extra because you pulled that much power. So when you have those panels slapped to your roof and you're producing, we're probably putting a couple $100 back a month.
So the bigger your house is, the more energy consumption that you have for bigger homes, the more you're going to save.
Exactly.
And that's kind of, volume, you save more.
Yeah,
That's in anything
it's
in
economics.
life.
The more you use, how much more can we get out of you? And so that's kind of where the loophole is.
So I keep hearing this buzzword going around talking about tax credits, and everybody wants to know how they can save money on their taxes. At least most do. So tell me, what type of tax credits do you get with solar?
Yeah. So there are one main tax credit that's available to you through the federal government, right?
Okay.
And that is a 26% tax credit against the expenditure of the system, right? So basically the way that works is you take 26% of whatever you spend on solar, right? The total cost, okay? That dollar amount then goes against your tax liability, right?
Okay, so if I spent 40 grand on a system, I'm going to have an $8,000 write-off.
Yep.
Your tax liability is another word for the money that's withheld from your paycheck every 2 weeks over the course of a year, right? And so whatever that number equates out to, that tax credit goes against that number.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's how it works.
And that's what you kind of figure into the amount of the system.
That's already built in. And so I guess the one line to the homeowner is kind of like how do you really realize the tax credit part is this time of year when we're getting our 1099s or our W-2s and we look in and see how much money Uncle Sam took from our paycheck and we go, man, what I could have done with this. Solar comes into play, and now you're essentially able to use that tax credit to offset the taxes you've paid in. And now it's paying off your solar system. So money you've already paid into taxes is actually now going to offsetting what your total solar amount is. So it's kind of a really, really cool way of being able to utilize tax money that's always been out of sight, out of mind. We've never been able to use. This is the first time you get to recoup that and apply it to something financial for you.
Let's jump over to the financing side. Do you finance solar?
We have solar lenders that we're partnered with.
Okay. And what do those options look like? How long am I financing this? What type of rates are involved with that? And we're just going to use an average system of being 30 or 40 grand. What is that going to look like from a financing perspective for me?
So yes, absolutely. Financing is 100% an option, right? We work with lots of different lenders, credit scores, different things like that, right? So don't ever think that you can't finance solar, right?
Okay.
The second piece of that is terms and rates, right? So we have terms anywhere from 5 years to 25 years. It really just depends on what you're trying to do.
Okay.
And interest rates as low as like 0.5%. I mean, they're literally giving this money away.
It's up to you. How long do you want to pay it off? How much you want to pay a month? So it can get pretty cheap. 25 years at less than 1%. So
it's crazy.
I can see how that can get way lower than your energy bill.
And when you see that, that's the whole moment for us is going, hey guys, we can talk about all the really cool components. But when you get to see numbers in front of you, here's where I'm at, here's where I can be. That's all the proof in the pudding that you need.
So we're just talking about getting a solar loan and getting that financed. What is the difference between a solar loan and a solar lease?
Owning versus continuing to rent.
Okay. So they will come out and put solar on your home and lease it to you.
Yeah.
You don't own the
you're getting the discounted, rate, so you're not paying as much. But the company that you're leasing it through, they get your tax credit.
Gotcha.
Whereas you own it, that's your money.
So we're talking about solar. Let's dive into the utility side and kind of go with the skeptics or, of course, the energy brokers and all the guys in the energy space that are talking about whatever they can to downplay it, to say it's going to cost you more money. What does it mean when the energy companies are telling you to upgrade to solar through them?
That is my favorite commercial when they go, hey guys, don't go solar. Don't worry about installing your own panels. We'll do it for you. If you've ever driven towards Austin, you see the amount of solar farms that are out there. All of these utility providers, they've already invested in solar. They're all in this for profit. Snowvid happened. Guys, they're still getting their bills. So when you look at these utility companies that are saying, hey, don't switch to solar, we'll do it for you. They're basically giving you the power they're already generating from their solar farms, but they're selling it to you at the cost that they're getting their coal-produced power from. They're not going to lose their margins. So they've already invested in solar where if they realize that if you do that, they're losing customer, they're losing power. So they're just going to make it a really fun-sounding way of, hey guys, you've been with us for such a long time. Don't worry about switching. Don't worry about the great tax credits and all the great things you can get. Stick with us. We'll send you power that's solar anyways.
So they just built solar farms.
That's exactly it.
Sending you power from that grid
exactly
instead of the coal.
They want the financial benefits of it. They don't want you to get it because they still want to keep their customer.
Sure. So you were talking earlier that you need to own a home to get solar. If you're leasing, it's probably not going to be right for you, nor will it be able to happen. I mean, if you don't own the home, you can't just go drop solar on there. You need the landlord to approve that or want to do that. What do you do when you go to sell your house? How do you sell it with the solar? Give me the options.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I would say most homeowners ask that, and there's really there's two options, right? So number one, when you invest in solar, you're going to create additional equity in your home by eliminating one of the highest operating costs, right?
Sure.
So if you're 10 years into that note, you've already realized that savings, and you've already passed that break-even point. And so at that point, you just command a higher price for your home, sell the home, and you're done, right?
Yeah, it becomes an amenity, if anything.
That's exactly. It's just like if you were to, redo your kitchen or put in new floors or bathroom.
Yeah, have a pool, spa, whatever.
There's a lot of different studies out there. The best one I've seen is the Zillow study that tells you that you can get 4.1% additional equity in your home, right? Very specific. They did a nationwide study on that just a couple of years back.
What are your thoughts about that?
So I think that it's low in our area for sure. The numbers are much higher just because the amount of people that have gone solar. Again, that was a nationwide study. So when you factor in places like us or California, Nevada, Hawaii, places that have a lot of solar, the comps support higher prices, right? The second way that you can do it is you can actually transfer the loan to the new homeowner. And all they have to do is qualify for it, right? If they can afford to buy your house or
they can afford to get a loan for
they
solar.
can afford to do the solar report, right? So
that makes sense.
That's exactly how it works. We do have people that say, man, we'd love to take the panels with us. And I say, pump the brakes, right, guys? Because really you don't want to have that extra expense of removing that stuff and then reinstalling it, realize your savings, either get the extra equity out of your house or transfer the loan, right? And then go reinvest.
And that system was spec'd to that house.
Correct.
Realistically, when you're moving, it's either going to be to a newer home, could be bigger, it could be smaller. That's why, again, we don't cookie cutter any system.
Have you actually had people suggest that? We're moving.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all installed this solar system. Can y'all come remove it and reinstall it in my new house?
Against our better judgment to them? Absolutely. I mean, because at the end of the day, you own those panels. You could go whatever you want to. We want to come in again with the educational side and going, since you want this route, how do we get the best of both worlds? Again, now sell your home as a net zero house. Especially here in Texas, utility rates, again, we have the highest.
Well, yeah, you'd think that that's a selling feature.
That's exactly it.
And even if you don't get extra money out of the house, the 4.1% or whatever it is, it's going to make that home more advantageous than the comps in the area. My wife being a broker, shout out to livinghouston.com. Go check that out. But her being a broker, it's like I see her in deals all the time, and it's like the ones that remodel before they put it on the markets, the ones that get a new roof before they put it on the markets, the ones that have solar. Those are the ones that are going to sell on the high end of the comps versus the low. Absolutely faster.
It's already done for you.
All right, y'all ready for some rapid fire questions?
Bring it on.
All right, so I've got some rapid fire. Ask some questions online, in our Facebook groups, online, IG, and had just a couple questions. We're just going to knock them out real quick. What are the benefits of solar?
Save money, save power, financial freedom.
That's a good answer. That was quick. Next one. Jonathan, you want to take this?
Okay.
What happens when it rains, hails, some type of act of God, hurricane? Tell me what happens.
Sure. So as long as there's light out, the panels are still going to produce electricity, right? Just like if you can go out on a cloudy day and get a sunburn, it's the exact same way, right? We're harnessing the sun's radiation.
What's going to happen to the panels if it hails?
They can resist up to golf ball size hail.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, anything beyond that, you probably have a total loss of your house, right?
Sure.
You get softball size hail,
we got problems regardless.
Best way we can show it. Let's get the results roofing truck out here. Let's put one of these panels down and let's just drive right over it. That's one of the coolest parts is being able to see the real technology as before. It's glass. When we have hail or these heavy winds like we see all the time, those old panels, those polycrystalline, they'd break. Now we have these amazing silicone panels that when you have a tank drive over it, they just ebb and they go right back. So it's really, really cool technology when you truly get to see that in person. I mean, there is one of the panels that we use. They have a great video that I'd love to be able to share to everyone, but it's made by Mission Solar, manufactured here in San Antonio. They have their durability video. Seeing all of the amazing tests that these panels are truly put through before they're strapped to your house, it's amazing where the technology has come and just the pure craftsmanship of these panels, what they can withstand. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, does homeowners insurance cover the solar panels? One, if somebody has a leak in the roof or they need to replace the roof, solar obviously has to be removed and replaced. Mm-hmm. Is the homeowners insurance, and I know the answer to this, homeowners covers the roof to be replaced. Are they going to cover the cost to remove the panels and then reinstall them?
Absolutely. As long as you have homeowners insurance on your system, which we recommend to everybody, whenever you do purchase solar, make sure that you contact your homeowner's insurance.
And let them know that you do have solar.
Yep.
And same thing, if they get busted, if they get broken, homeowners insurance is going to pay it.
Absolutely.
So to add to that, two things you need to do is one, make sure you have a RCV policy, not an ACV policy, and make sure solar is added and they have that on the list as a coverage. Will my power stay on when the grid goes down?
No. For a safety feature, like we were talking about before with that AC disconnect, because you produce your own power, when that grid goes down, your system has to be turned off to protect the transformer and the journeymen working on it. That's when we were talking about coupling with potentially a whole home generator or a battery. That's the only time your system will stay on once the grid is down, because again, these systems are grid tied.
And there's some really cool new technology that's out there now with our microinverters, as we were talking about, that can actually attach to some critical loads and can continue to service your home in the event of an outage. Now, that's not powering your AC and hot water heater and all that stuff. That's just critical loads
that's
like
only
lights.
with the sun being up.
Well,
it's only during the sun.
I think, when the sun's up. And I've seen it myself. A lot of people have the thought or expectation that if they have solar and the grid goes out or the power goes out due to hurricane or storm or high wind or whatever, which is always happening in one of our neighborhoods, they're not going to have power?
Nope.
So what is a solution for that?
That is where, again, we want to go through and figure out how does the home truly operate? Is there medical equipment? Is there anything that is, life hindering that needs to be powered? If that's the case, immediately have to do X, Y, or Z battery or generator.
In addition to the original system, if I've got battery in there, then I'm good. I'm covered.
Golden.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's, if you're going to invest into solar, get the batteries, because that's going to cover everything that you need to do. So the main system shuts off to the grid to keep everybody safe. However, the battery will still back up the house and give you
Absolutely.
power.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And doing so, I guess, how long will that last? That's when you got to get into the details of how many kilowatts, how much power, what all are you trying to do, and how big is your backup system?
Yeah. And that's why, again, you have the two different methods of, with the battery you use, you have the ability to continue to scale in said battery bank, or you have the homeowners that say, I would rather measure twice, cut once, and just do this system as a whole.
Sure.
And go, I know I have a 10, 12 kilowatt system, but I want 30 kilowatts of battery.
Gotcha.
You're protected no matter what happens. So you have two kind of thought processes, and that's where when we kind of sit down with you, we want to know how you think and how your family operates,
Gotcha.
not just the run of the mill.
Yeah, I mean, there's no really hard, simple answer to any of this because every home is different. Everybody's needs are different. But we have a ballpark idea of what the average house is going for.
Absolutely.
$30,000 to $40,000 range. You can finance it anywhere from 5 to 25 years at less than a 1% rate if you have decent credit.
Yeah.
So it's going to be cheaper than your utility bill.
Yep.
Before we get out of here, thank you all for answering these questions. There's a lot more. I know we're going to continue these podcasts and get more granular and dive in deep. We're also going to be asking our audiences, what they want. So we'll get into that. But one thing you and I have discussed about a little bit more in detail, not related to solar, is the charitable causes. You and I both, all of us, do a lot of different charitable causes. What I really liked, in addition to the lifestyle of Helix Sun brand, actually, let me just quit talking about it. Tell me about the charitable causes that y'all are involved in, what it is, why you do it, and how people can find it.
We are what's considered a Give partner with Give Power. So Give Power is a 503c that's located in Austin. They are actually a partner of one of the main lenders that we use. So Give Power, what they do is for every single system that you are, one, you have to be vetted to be able to be a partner of theirs. Once you become a Give partner, every system that you install, we will donate on behalf of that homeowner to solar across the world. And so what Give Power does is they basically build solar water farm maxes that are along water basins, and they're going to pull in the desalinated water. And through our solar system, that's going to now give them clean drinking water for cooking, bathing, normal electricity, to be able to go to school when it's dark out and they can look at, a computer or something like that. And so what Give Power is giving us the ability to do is not only make an impact, again, on our homeowners, but also showing that, guys, solar, everyone deserves clean energy. That is our mission statement.
And clean water.
Exactly. And so now how can you provide two things that we look at as just everyday things that people on the other side of the world look at as a luxury? We can now go in and donate on their behalf. And one of the things that we are extremely proud of is that we also chose to do our team trek. And so what that means for us is once we surpass 2,500 installs or $100,000 donated, the Helix Sun team is going to go on an 8-day trek to one of 3 locations, whether that be Nepal, Colombia, or Kenya, I believe.
Yeah.
And we're physically going to go out there. We're going to dig the trenching. We're going to install the system. We're going to do all the wiring. And on, I believe, day 6, we're going to have what they call the lighting ceremony, where we get to walk out and the entire village or community is going to count to 3, yell our name, and they're going to kick that AC disconnect on. And in a village or a town that has never had power before, you're going to see light.
That's amazing.
And I'm getting goosebumps talking about this, which is such a cool thing because, again, the impact part is what we believe in.
Yeah.
But knowing that there are people on the other side of the world that are depending on us to do our job, and knowing that when we finally get to go out there and seeing the fact that Give Power's, I believe there are over 2,500 schools that they've already been, that they've developed. And they're actually working on another couple of ones that are going to be in South America here. I mean, it's amazing when you find, again, what we believe in, what we truly want to give back to our local communities. But when you find a partnership that tells you, hey, you're thinking small, think bigger. Don't just think your backyard, think the globe.
Yeah.
And when you get to see the conversations and how passionate they are about what they're doing, and they get to hear how passionate we are, that's a recipe for success.
Yeah, it's something amazing. And that's something that we had talked about in depth about us piggybacking that and going with you. Hector, haven't talked to you about that yet, but we might be going to Kenya next year, buddy. Because that's definitely, one of the things that we do, the charitable causes, all of the giving back, it's for something greater than us.
Absolutely.
And so appreciate you diving into that and letting us be a part of that when that does happen.
Yes.
Thank y'all for coming on the show today. Again, we're going to be doing a lot more of these. Jonathan, Ryan, Helix Sun, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope this really gave y'all some answers to your questions about the whole solar world. Be sure to leave a comment if you have any other questions that didn't get answered. We will be sure to address those in the podcast. I'm Jonathan Wiseman. This is The Grit. Got these guys here with Helix Sun. Thank you, guys. We'll see y'all on the next one.
See y'all.
Take care, guys.
Yeah.